Today we are going to talk about how to transfer an image to a hard surface like this clear acrylic using a toner printer. Hey there, I'm Sarah, you're watching Creative Ramblings. Today we are talking more about this iColor 560 white toner printer. This is part of a series of videos I'm doing to try to help you get a good idea of what this machine can do, because there is a lot. It is truly an all-in-one printer. So if you want to take a look at my other videos, they are linked down in the description. Today we are talking about transferring an image onto a hard surface. So I have made these little clear acrylic signs. I've turned some of them into keychains, and I've been able to transfer this full color image to clear acrylic. So today we're going to talk about what you need to do that, so what printer and what paper you need to do that, and what other supplies come in handy. I'm going to walk you through the whole process from start to finish on bringing the image into the software until we get to this point right here, so you can get a good feel for how this all works. I'm also going to talk a little bit about what other ways you can get an image onto a piece of clear acrylic, and then we're going to talk about why you might choose one over the other. So let's start by talking about what you need. You need this printer. This is a white toner printer. It is the iColor 560. When you buy the printer, it comes with the ink you need to do this project. The next thing you need is this one-step hard transfer paper. So it comes in a pack like this. It actually comes with a piece of foam in it as well, which you may use down the road, but this is all the paper that we need. What I like about their papers is they all have a QR code on here. You can scan that and it walks you through the instructions for this process like in depth. It's really, really good. When I first got this paper, I actually printed out those instructions. I keep my printer on a little cart here and I have them filed away with my other instructions so that if I'm ever not near my phone or something, I can just grab that paper and then I have the instructions. So we need the printer and we need this. The next thing we need is a heat press, and I have a manual heat press where I can adjust the pressure and it swings away. It is not a clamp, it swings away, makes it a lot easier for getting things in and out. I also have a silicone mat on my heat press, and I use this for a lot of things I do with this printer because it allows me to get more pressure onto my paper. You're going to need just a piece of cardstock. I'm just using a piece of white cardstock, some heat-proof tape, some parchment paper. You might need some like heat-proof gloves. I'm not going to use them for this project, but some of these materials do get a little warm. You may want to have that on hand. The other thing you're going to need is something big and heavy. I'm using a big piece of wood for about 10 seconds in the final step of this. So let's go over to the software and we'll start there. This is ProRip Essentials. It comes with your printer. And all we have to do here on the right side is tell the printer what we're doing. So on the very bottom, I'm going to select underprint, and you can do underprint or overprint. And this means that we're going to print in a way that it can show through the back of the acrylic so we can see it from that side. Then I need to pick my paper, and I'm picking that hard surface transfer paper, and then everything else is kind of filled in for me. I'm going to keep it bypass tray because that's where the paper is going. The little picture of the printer in the right corner there tells me the order of the ink, and that's going to come in handy in a minute. So I selected that printer as my output, and now I'm going to bring in an image. This is the image I want to use, and I don't need this to be very big, so I'm going to print a couple of these on one page, so I just need to size them down appropriately. Now let's go get the printer set up. So there are two ways to load paper in here. We can either load it in the bypass tray through the front, or we can put it in a traditional paper tray. I tend to use the bypass tray. So it tells us right on there what to do, that the print side is going to be facing down. And in this case, the print side is the glossy side. So I'm just going to stick it in here, and eventually the printer will grab it and you'll feel it pull a little bit. Now we need to make sure the ink in this printer matches the order of ink that's shown in the software. So to do this, we just pop open the top, and these inks are really easy to pull in and out. And again, just follow that picture. In this case, the white needs to go on top, and then the cyan needs to come all the way down. But no calibrating or anything, just move them around, close that top, and then we can go back to the software and hit start. The first print that I do usually takes a little while. It can take a couple minutes for it to actually get over to the printer. Subsequent prints will then go pretty quickly after that, but there is kind of a warm up and a transfer period here. I do have my printer connected via USB, but you can do a wireless connection as well. This is our print, and we're going to cut these down to size so I can use them on some smaller pieces of acrylic. But let's go over to the heat press and get that ready. So this is a manual heat press here. I am going to set mine at 305 for 70 seconds. Now, these are temperature and time that work for me and my heat press. I definitely recommend playing around with it a little bit and finding the perfect temperature and time for you. It can be around 300 degrees, but it could be for shorter or longer than I'm doing here. My heat press is a swing away, which is really nice because you don't get your fingers touching that top as often as you do in like a clamp. I have a silicone mat on here, which adds a flat surface and more pressure. And then I have my knob dialed down to high pressure. So I'm going to let this heat up and we will prep everything else. The first thing I want to lay down is just a piece of cardstock. This is just to protect the silicone mat. Now I've cut the paper of my graphic a little larger than this little piece of acrylic here. Now there's a lot of acrylic blanks you can buy. I did cut this with my CO2 laser just for testing, but you can definitely buy acrylic keychains or bookmarks or whatever you're making. Now I want to lay this down so that the print side is up. So that's going to be in contact with the heat. And I want to tape the paper print to the paper on the bottom. And I don't want the tape to cover the ink. Finally, I'm going to cover it with parchment paper. Close this up for that 70 seconds. Again, nice high pressure to make sure it transfers. Now I want to show you what I'm prepping over here. This is that big piece of wood I have. It's just like a blank sign that you could paint. This is a printer cart that I have everything on here. As soon as that's done, I'm going to pull it off the printer, put it on here, and then push down with this big piece of wood for like 6 to 8 seconds. Not long at all. This helps the acrylic stay flat. And then I immediately want to pull this paper off while it is warm. If I let it cool, it's not going to work very well. So we have to get it off there right away. Slow, even pull. And this is the result. We put it on from the back. It shows through to the front. And I've got some nice vibrant color and a really good transfer. So the end result is a piece of acrylic with a really vibrant image on it. And we pressed it from the back, and then if you turn it over, you can see it through the front. If I were to do a pattern that did not have words, I could use either side of this because it would be the same on both sides. So I will tell you that when I first started playing around with this, it took some work and it took some practice to get the timing between taking it off the press, pushing that board on it, and then pulling the paper off the acrylic. If you let it get too cool, you pull all the ink right up off the acrylic. If you pull it off when it's piping hot, it doesn't work either. So I pushed for less than 10 seconds. And at first I was pushing with a handheld heat press that had a metal bottom that wasn't plugged in. So I was pushing really hard because it was nice and heavy and it had a handle, but it cooled down too quickly because that metal was really, really cold. So the wood seems to work well for me because it doesn't transfer any cool temperatures down to the acrylic. So know that you're going to need to practice. If you are using acrylic specifically, get yourself a bottle of acetone. What you can do is take a paper towel and some acetone and you can pull this ink right off of here and start over. If you do that enough times, you end up leaving some streaks on the acrylic, but it works really well for when you're practicing. But now that I have that technique down and I know exactly what the timing is, I can repeat this over and over again with no issues. So let's talk about some other ways that you can get an image or a graphic design onto a piece of acrylic. So you could cut some vinyl on your Cricut or your Silhouette and put it on acrylic. You can do that, but you're not going to get as detailed of a design. You can use a UV printer and you can print directly onto clear acrylic and you could print some really great designs. I've actually made this exact thing using a UV printer and the results are almost exactly the same. You can also use sublimation. However, your blanks, your piece of acrylic or your glass or ceramic, whatever you're using, has to be sublimation ready. So it has to have a special coating on it. Not all of them do. And then you could also use like a water slide decal where you print out your image and then slide it on to a blank. So there are a number of different ways to get a design onto a hard surface. So then that begs the next question, why use this method? And here's what I would tell you. If that is all you want to do, if all you want to do is to add designs to a hard surface, this might not be the printer for you. What I like about this printer is that it is all in one. So that is just one thing you can do with this printer. You can make all kinds of apparel. So I make fabric transfers all the time with this printer for t-shirts, tote bags, hats, wallets, whatever we're making. You can do that here. You can use this as a document printer. You can swap out the ink in here for sublimation ink or fluorescent ink or metallic ink. I print stickers on here just using the regular ink that comes with it and then go cut them with my Cricut. Since this is a white toner printer, I am able to print on dark cardstock if I'm looking to make some really beautiful invitations for a party. So there are so many things you can do with the printer. This transferring to a hard surface is just one of the many techniques you can do. So as I said at the beginning, this video falls into a series of everything that the iColor 560 can do. So if you want to learn more, take a look at those other videos. If you have any questions on this process specifically, please let me know down in the comments and let me know what you want to see next. I have lots of videos lined up, but there is something you are really, really wanting to see, let me know and I will try to do that one next. If you're interested in this printer, I have the latest deals down in the description, so go click on that link and take a look at how you can get your hands on one of these. If you liked this video, if you found it helpful, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I'm here every week with new videos to help you move forward in your creative journey. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.